A realtor's role today is the ultimate guide to their client because there's so much innovation. Who would have ever thought Sears or Blockbuster or these companies would be totally extinct, right? But they got comfortable with what worked. And I feel like some of the, the more seasoned realtors, they're kind of like got blinders on. It's like just doing what they've been doing for 10 years. There are solutions, and part of your job is to bring those solutions as options. That's what's making you stand out. And I think historically, realtors have been reluctant to bring up a new thing. But the reality is the cutting edge top producers, they are bringing solutions to problems. Otherwise, you will become a dinosaur.
You're listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, their losses, lessons, and stories help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with Vikram Deal of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram Deal, what is up? How's it going? How is life?
You're so close to me, Cody.
How does it feel?
I was hoping I'd get a little bit closer to you.
Okay, well, you can. You're right next to me. You can
play a little footsie. So
it feels very awkward, but you do you.
You're so uncomfortable, Cody. When you hold my hand in public, it's totally normal for you, but it's really awkward for me. But then when I play little footsies in a private space with you, you get a little.
This is gonna get edited and cut together, so it's not really private. Like
it's for our fans.
Hey, you do you.
It's us for our own.
You do fans. You. What is OnlyFans? That's one way we could monetize this podcast.
Hey, I need a little bit more light on me then.
Okay.
I'm a little darker than you are, Cody, so I need a little bit more lighting in here. But yeah, I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, we could 100%.
What's new, man? How's business?
Business is good, man. Like we are rocking and rolling. Listen to a ton of live transfer calls over the last couple of weeks, and listening to agents, just helping them, coaching them on like what to say, how to say it.
Yep.
And just helping them like win in the online space. It's been really cool. We've had so many agents come into the program, like literally everyone that's coming in the program that just follows and does what we tell them to do. They're winning. So that excites me. And it's
when you have a process that's proven that you just need to tap into it and things happen.
How about you, man? How about you? What's new and exciting in your world?
I was having a conversation with a gal that runs recruiting for a very large set of offices. And as we're talking, and there's opportunity everywhere. As we're talking, she's like, oh my God, I should hire you to be my sales coach. And I was like, tell me more about that.
Tell me more.
Because when you become a conscious listener, you realize that people only say the things that they want you to hear. So she was asking for help, and we didn't even have a coaching call. Like I was just sharing what I do.
It's
like how I could run a webinar for her offices, right? She manages recruiting for like 14 offices. So I was like, how do I weasel my foot in through the back door, right? And the next thing you know, she's like, I should hire you. From our first call to now, she's basically has about 9 or 10 new recruits.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right? And it started out with one person saying, I effing hate the company you work for. And she was just like, well, how do you mean? Like in a really neutral tone. And the lady's like, well, blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, something, something, something. And then she goes, after she's like, it was like 45 seconds. It happened so fast. And she goes, actually, I hate the company I work for, but I really like you. And I'd be interested in looking at your current offerings, because if they bring in people like you now, then everybody there must be rock stars. And she already signed.
Wow.
She already signed, and she's got like 5 more people showing up. So it's funny when you change your tonality from like your typical sales pitch tonality to a neutral tone.
Yeah. Tell me
that alone changes how people perceive you.
I think that this is a perfect segue to introduce our guest, because perfect segue.
Best segue ever.
Yeah, no, it's a great segue. And the reason I think it's a great segue is because it's something that we've been working with our agents on, changing language and even changing the way that they market their businesses in such a way that allows them to stand out from the crowd. It allows them to really create a unique selling proposition for their business. And when I got connected with Micahel originally through a Next Home event, we got connected with Dilip, and we got connected with Micahel, and like we've been connected with like everyone at Revive, and we've been like really working with our agents to kind of think about their offer differently, and what Revive is really doing in the marketing, like really in the real estate space now, like for me in the marketing space, is like coming up with a unique offer that no one else is doing. Not the standard find out what your home is worth in the market, something different, something different, something unique that allows realtors to approach sellers and approach buyers in a different light. I'm really curious, Michael, welcome to the Our Agent podcast. Welcome to the Our Agent podcast. I'm really curious if you can give us like a 30-second short, concise, how did you get here today to essentially be involved with Revive, to start Revive? Like, how did that process and journey start, to kind of set some context for some of the questions we're going to ask today?
Yeah, thanks, Cody, and thanks for having me on your show. My name is Micahel, Alladawi, CEO over here at Revive. Yeah, that's a common question that I get asked all the time. Like, how did you think of this? How did you get here? Well, for the past 12 years, I've been in some form of real estate. Started out as a portfolio, fund manager, a flipper, a lender to flippers, and then, ground up construction, all at scale. I mean, I think when I was flipping 300 homes a year in Southern California. When we were building, it was a much smaller scale boutique infill projects. But all of my real estate experience really helped me, step into the shoes of all the different players in real estate, whether it's an investor. I was also a licensed broker, a lender, a borrower, a builder. All of those different hats helped me understand, kind of the space from all different angles. And really, my bread and butter was adding value to distressed homes, right? And I had a lot of friends that would constantly, it's kind of like when you're a doctor in the family or whatever, everybody that has anything comes to you. So any friend that was ever selling a home or doing a bathroom remodel would come to me and say, hey, do you have a good roofer? Do you have a good contractor? Do you have a good tile guy? Or how do you do this? And I'd be like, yeah, it's so easy. But it isn't so easy because everybody struggles with all elements of prepping their homes. And so, yeah, I don't know if there's like a one silver bullet answer other than in 2018, I recognized that, hey, what I'm doing here at scale, flipping and adding value to homes, people should be able to do that. And I thought at the time that it was money, kind of like around the same time Compass Concierge was coming up. And it was like, yeah, if you give people a little bit of money, they could, spruce up their home, and that adds so much value. And it is so true, it does. But through the evolution of what I learned over the first couple of years of Revive is it isn't about the money only. Like, money is essential, but it's about, it's about the systems and processes that, at scale flippers and builders implement, right? That the consumer just had no way of building or implementing. And so,
can you give us a high level overview on like what Revive actually does and how it is? When I heard you explain it and when we chatted at Nexo, I'm like, this is like perfect for agents that go into listing presentations that will help them separate themselves from everyone else in the marketplace. Can you explain to a real estate agent listening why this is different than maybe Compass Concierge or something that, or them doing renovations on their own? Can you kind of walk us through what that process looks like to kind of give an agent an understanding of what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the core product, Renovate to Sell, is a product that basically makes available money to do pre-sale renovations, but it's also support for the contractor so they're not becoming the de facto GC. And it's support for the contractor so they could do a good job consistently. So let me give you an example. Like in the commercial world or at scale building or flipping, these investors never hire a contractor and say, hey, let's get a budget together, a scope, help me with the design, help me with permitting, help me with quality control. They don't, right? They hire a contractor, and a contractor in the commercial world is literally a glorified scheduler, right? And in the consumer world, consumers and realtors are asking contractors to do all those things. And all those things contractors are just not good at them because they get overwhelmed, right? We've all had bad experiences. So what Revive is aiming to do is take that at scale process of saying, hey, we're going to hire contractors to do what contractors do. Focus on swinging the hammer, scheduling your subs, scheduling the crews so we can get done quickly and consistently. Revive is going to support you in the front office, back office. We're going to meet with the client. We're going to put a budget and scope that's best for them and for their exit price. It's going to be rooted in ROI. We're also going to do design. We're going to do procurement. We're going to do permitting. We're going to do quality control. So you focus on just that. By helping the contractor, it helps the homeowner and it helps the realtor from not becoming the de facto GC. So the difference between what realtors, have been doing on their own for, probably since the inception of real estate is they do whatever they can to help their clients get the most out of their home. And sometimes they are playing that GC. Hey, I got a good flooring guy. I got a good roofing guy, but they get sucked in to being the project manager. And that's totally cool on like a $20,000 project. But if you're doing a $200,000, pre-sale renovation project, that's like kitchens, bathrooms, floors, you don't want to be doing that. Not to mention it's illegal. And there's a lot of lawsuits going on right now with, agents specifically that played the role of a GC, just de facto GC. And then their clients are like, wait a minute, I just learned from my attorney that you're not a licensed GC. You can't charge more than $500 or you have to have a license. And your commissions that I promised to pay you were in part for that service. And so I don't owe you commissions, right? So it's complicated, but in short, it's the support that we give to both the agent and the GC.
What has been interesting to me with like it allowing real estate agents, this is where when we got connected, like our agency Sheridan Street, we were like really trying to figure out on the front end, how do we help agents in their marketing stand out from everyone else? So that idea of that $0 down, pay on closing is like we spent time in the flooring space prior to getting into real estate. In the flooring space, it was the credit offers like that we would run in marketing were so they were just available like that. Those were the offers we ran with. How like when an agent is looking at from a marketing perspective, because when we were at the event together, we were chatting about the front end marketing. How do you explain to an agent that this is an offer or there are other offers out there that they can lead with from a marketing perspective that could get them the result that they're looking for, which is ultimately win the listing over somebody else?
Well, I'm trying to make sure I understand your question. I think the biggest problem I see, Cody, is, I think the thing that realtors could do that is the most valuable is just changing their attitude and their mindset to a proactive mindset of saying, how are you going to apply these different tools that I have available to me? Like this Revive tool, right? It's not good enough to just like know it, file it, whatever. Like, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to take that offering and kind of think differently about your farm, the type of people you're targeting? How could you reduce the size of your farm? How could you have more meaningful conversations when you get in there? One of the things that I get the opportunity to do is shadow like absolutely the top producing agents from coast to coast, and specifically that are using this tool, because I want to see how they're using it. I kind of guide them on it, and like 100%, the top producing agents always have this listing presentation that's like, hey, ABC, gold, bronze, platinum, right? Like I can list your home as is. I could do a little bit of pre-sale renovations, and I could do maximum value extraction. And I charge 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. And I know that might sound high to some people, right? But top producers are consistently getting 4 to 5% on the listing side by offering, options and solutions that are, full turnkey, peace of mind, fully curated, more consistency. There is a segment of the population that wants to pay for service. Like that's the kind of economy and world we live in today. You just have to be able to offer it in a way that it's non-pressure, that makes sense. And some people will choose it, some people won't. So I think, again, like the most impactful thing I think an agent doing is, well, first being confident about what the program is and what they could do with it, how they can target their farms more targeted and specifically with it, but figure out how to incorporate this offering in one of their, their platinum or gold packages that allows them to go, look, I'm here for you to accomplish your goals, whatever they are. And I have all the tools. And who cares if they never pick it, but you have it, right? And when they pick it, it is a premium service. It is helping them make more money. And you'll be surprised that people are very happy to pay for it.
In the world we live in, people have time or they have money. And the people with money, they want to save their time. So when you're talking about this positioning, right? When we talk about listings, we talk about exposure and positionings, right? And those are just some frames that Sharon and I have talked about, Cody and I have talked about that, Sharon has developed over the years. And what you're doing is you're giving people a different way to position to get exposure. And the cool thing about what you're doing is that you guys provide service up front and service in the back for the people involved. So I guess I'm curious because I don't really know your product. I've heard Cody talk about it and praise it. But when you guys, so a real estate agent, because I just want to try to bring it down to the ground. When a real estate agent is offering a premium listing service, and they're charging a premium for what's considered, whatever in the industry, you guys are helping that real estate agent with all of the work that the real estate agent used to do. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it starts with like, if I'm a realtor, I have a potential listing, I'm going to reach out to Revive. I'm going to schedule an appointment before I even go on that listing appointment or right after I've just like previewed it. Right. And I'm going to get with them and kind of say, hey, I want to run through a huddle here that, I want to put a plan together that I could like share with my client. Right. So, and every agent is different, right? Like some agents know exactly what they need. Like, hey, I'm taking this listing. You need to change the floors. You need to update the bathrooms because this is what your competitors are doing in your marketplace. Some don't. So we help with the guidance with the realtor to put that plan together before they even win the listing, and during the listing process.
So if just because it sounds like a dream for most real estate agents that want to provide a high level, but they don't have the experience that you did with flipping hundreds of homes and building houses and being a part of that, right? Like that's a huge bonus that you had that most real estate agents don't have. So I'm real estate agent Vikram. I'm going to list Cody's house. I call Michael over at Revive and say, hey, Cody's house is 1970s, completely unupdated. I'm not sure really what it needs, but I know that there's houses like his that have XYZ model updates are selling for a little bit more money, but I'm not really good at the numbers. I don't really know how to analyze the data. You guys will do that for them?
So we'll
kind of help them with the guide?
We will do it side by side. So if you reached out to me in that scenario, the first thing I would ask you is, Vikram, what is the as-is value of this home? Let's pull up some comps if we need to together right now on a Zoom. Okay. What is the as-is value and what's the potential value, right? And the potential value is the most important value because as an investor, the way I used to do it, it's like I got mine as is based on the potential value, right? So I would look at a neighborhood, wherever it is in the United States, and I'd go, what can I sell this home for? I'd look at the neighbors. I'd look at all the comps, and then I'd go, okay, what do those homes look like that sold at that top price? And what is it going to cost to bring this home to that? And then I'd build in my whatever cash on cash return that that hurdle that I had to cross. And then that was my as-is price. I'm like, I can't buy this house for more than X. So we do the same kind of calculation with a realtor, except not for an investor, for an owner. We say, hey, look, what could you get for this home, right? So if you say, hey, Cody's home is potentially a $2 million home because we just discovered this through looking at the comps. And I'm like, let's look at the pictures. Let's look at the pictures of the homes that sold for the current condition of his home. And if we don't have any pictures, we'll just extrapolate because we know if it's going to cost $500,000 to get Cody's home up to, $2 million, then we know it's not worth them more than 1.5, right? That's a given. And likely we know that today's buyers, they want to buy convenience and they want to buy turnkey and move in ready. And so we know the perceived value of an ugly home or not dialed in home or a turnkey home is less than 1.5 because so it's likely to be like 1.2, right? So investing $500,000 in your as is of 1.2 is going to get you, $700,000 return minus 300, and you're going to net, or if you invested 500, you're going to net $300,000. So we go through that exercise with the realtor to say like, look, because you can't make accurate decisions if you don't know what you're trying to sell the house for.
Sure.
And then work backwards from there. So that is one of the services or part of the service that that we kind of give a realtor when you first reach out to us and say, what can I do with Cody's home? And we're like,
how can a agent talking to a seller that, says, hey, we have this opportunity, or you sit down with a seller, you give them a plan of attack for how they make, say for example, they have to put in $500,000 worth of work in order to make, ideally make 200, to make 2 million. So it's like, say for example, the home is $1 million, $500,000 of work will get them 2 million. How does the agent effectively communicate that's a possibility when in actuality there is a potential chance that it doesn't sell for 2 million, it sells for 1.6. So like how do they overcome those types of conversations? And have you gone through those circumstances with sellers, and how do you coach the agent on having those conversations? Because ultimately I would think it'd be the agent that's having the conversation on the ground to essentially convince the seller that this is the best possible solution for them to maximize the value of their home.
Yeah, there's two things. The first thing is a realtor's got to know their market. You know what I mean? Like you got to know, and you got to be able to empirically show a client in a way that makes them believe that it is possible to sell this home for 2 million, and you got to show them. And it's not hard, right? Like if you're doing good comps, if you're a neighborhood specialist, it's not hard to be like, hey, the house like 6 houses down looks amazing and it sold for 2 million. The house is 1 block down, looks like yours, it sold for $1 million. That's not hard. The other point I'd like to make is it's an option. Here's the thing, as a realtor, I used to I've been in so many listing presentations where realtors are pitching for my listings. And, and I remember I went with the realtors that I knew had all of the reach, even though I didn't need that reach at the time, right? So it's like, as a realtor, you want to show that you're competent, you're resourceful, your bandwidth is big, because you don't know who real estate is a relationship business. I always kind of think even with Revive, it's like when a realtor reaches out, it doesn't matter if they're going to transact with us. It's about knowing more about the process and what we can do for them, that maybe 6 months from now, they'll have the perfect listing that they could use. And I think realtors should be approaching their clients that way, right? Like, I'm meeting you, I'm trying to pitch you on, hey, you could sell your house for 2 million if we did $500,000 worth of renovation. By the way, I could bring the money through my relationships. I can bring the turnkey project management solution so you don't have to stress. And the owner goes, no, I just need to sell this tomorrow, right? And I go, hey, no problem. You go with plan A then, I'll sell for you tomorrow. But now that client knows, damn, Michael's got depth. He could do this. And maybe he's got another property, or maybe he has a friend, or maybe whatever, right? And I think that's what it's about. It's about presenting options. It's not about forcing it down their throat and how do you convince them to do this? It's like, oh, don't convince anybody to do anything. Show them that there are possibilities today that weren't available yesterday.
It's like the same thing that we talk to our buyer clients about. They this person said on the phone they're this month 6 months out because of XYZ, and I said, wait, that's a down payment issue? Yeah. Well, did you talk to your lender, right? Your preferred lender about XYZ? They're like, no. I'm like, go see if there's some free money out there. Go see if they need to have 38% like they think they do, right? Everybody's using these online calculators, these online tools, these Googles, but they don't actually have real boots on the ground knowledge. And if you don't have options, right? If you don't have options, you're just stuck to what you know. And what what this is this is the listing agent's option to say, hey, we have other programs, which allows people to either chunk up or chunk down. It's like, hey, I want to get this much for my house. We're not moving for 7 months. We do need repairs. We understand it. We don't have the cash to do it. That's why it's going to take us 7 months, because we got to save up 10,000 here, 5,000 here. This company will take care of it all for you, right? Like, this company has this option, and here's how it works out. Bing, 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 bing. And the seller's like, oh my God, that's way better than trying to piecemeal it the way we were doing it. And it's going to cost us a small percentage more, right? Like, so what you're saying, Michael, is really valuable, is that it's an option. And when you can stand out with additional options, it changes the game for you. Like, how would you recommend an agent being able to utilize like this product on a social platform? Like, how would they, like, what kind of reel could they create, or what kind of YouTube video could they create where it's like, hey, when you work with me, we have these different options available. Like, I'm not just your trusted advisor on the back of a card.
Yeah, we have we have a marketing center that's got reels, that ideas, scripts, and stuff like that people can tap into. But I mean, I think if I was creating a reel, to talk about this product, I would just talk about either homes that I just, was able to accomplish this for a client, or, hey, look, if you have a home that is worth a lot more because it needs some TLC, reach out to me so I could tell you how I could front all of that money and have that turnkey solution for you. I don't know, maybe something like that. But I do want to kind of say something about, that you said something that triggered something I want to say, which is the role of a realtor today is so different from what it was 5 years ago, even. Like, the real estate industry is like evolving so fast. And I think so many realtors are not realizing how fast things are changing, and that their true role today isn't what it was 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, right? A realtor's role today is the ultimate guide to their client, because there's so much innovation. Like, now that I'm in the prop tech world, running a national company, traveling around, there are so many other amazing companies doing so many different things. All these companies are, working night and day, like Revive, to create value for you, right? The realtor. And it just amazes me how realtors just like run around with blinders on, just doing what they've been doing for 10 years. It's like, there are solutions, and part of your job is to bring those solutions as options. That's what's making you stand out. And I think historically, realtors have been reluctant to bring up a new thing. But the reality is, the cutting edge top producers, they are bringing solutions to problems, right? And so I think bringing options, whether it's Revive or another, other fintech or whatever solutions, is got to be part of your, thinking as a realtor and a way of your business. Otherwise, you will become a dinosaur. I always love making this, like, bringing up this analogy of, who would have ever thought, like Sears or, Blockbuster, or these companies would become like totally extinct, right? But they got comfortable with what worked. And I feel like some of the, the more seasoned realtors, they're kind of like got blinders on. It's like, no, like, I talked to a group of realtors that are top producing the other day, and they're like, we don't do any pre-sale renovations. That's not our job. It's like, okay, well, and I can guarantee you there's some young, hungry top producers out there that are saying, hey, I could sell your house for $2 million, and I could do that effortlessly. Is that something you're interested in? That would be compelling for me as a seller.
Well, it's also compelling on the front end. And that's what I was trying to get at earlier. You're not even going to get the opportunity if these agents, these newer agents, start advertising this on the front end. They're like, well, Tom here down the street, I just saw his ad online, and he does $0 down on all renovations. I don't have to pay until my closing, or he's going to do this, or he's going to do X, Y, and Z. There's an element, I think, that in the marketing world right now, we're entering into a space over the last couple of years, specifically with Hormozi's book, $100 Million Offers, where people are thinking differently about unique selling propositions. And there's always going to be agents that are going to be stuck in their way with the blinders on. But then there's a lot of agents that we have on this podcast that are innovating what they're doing, and they're making massive shifts in their marketplace, in their local community, where they can help more people, like you were saying, provide more value back to the end consumer in a way that allows the consumer to move quicker, or gives people options. Because we say this all the time. Me and Vic have been having conversations about this a while, is that a lot of people are on the sidelines because they have bad information or they have misinformation. They don't know what they don't know. So they don't make the move because they think that, oh, I'm not gonna be able to find a home, or I'm gonna end up spending more for a property, when in all actuality, there are agents out there pricing properties incorrectly, and people are getting deals $80,000 to $100,000 under asking. Like that's happening right now. Yeah. It's just we're not educated enough on these things. So my question, and kind of wrapping up the podcast, you connect with all these fintech agencies, you're constantly on the road, you're dealing with all of these different real estate agents. Where do real estate agents go in order to find solutions similar to yours that will allow them to give them the edge to their local market? Like, how do they find people like you? Because like for me, I ran into you guys at an event. So that's how I learned about Revive. And even though you and I both know Sharon, like we somehow never got connected. So we just kind of like ran into each other from like how do they find vendors that will allow them to make their jobs easier, to help them stand out? How do they start those relationships?
I don't know that you're going to like this answer, but I mean, honestly, it's a mindset, right? You got to be open. You got to be looking for something. You got to be open to hearing. Like I go to these the trade shows, the NARs, the whatever, and there's all these booths and whatever, and I see people just walking by all the booths, and they go to the places that they already know or something like that, right? Like you got to have, and by the way, like the agents that go to those trade shows, that's like a good start, because they're like trying to learn, right? They're trying to figure things out. They're going to whatever trade show, whether it's an AI trade show or a real estate trade show. I think you got to be open to constantly evolving and fine tuning. And I think it's just a mindset, and it's a conscious decision that that you have to make no matter what you're doing in life, whether it's fine tuning your real estate business or trying to lose weight, right? It's like it's a constant, quest for knowledge, and just having a mindset of being open to looking at and hearing new ideas. There's a lot of great ideas, a lot of bad ideas out there, but you got to take it in and see if it works. And if it does, great, adopt it. If it doesn't, don't. But I don't think a lot of people are in that mindset,
Well, I think a lot of real estate agents, because back 15, 20 years ago, because the model hasn't changed a lot. It's starting to get pivoted with some of the new companies, Real, EXP, things are starting to get really shooken up a lot. But I think it comes back to when a lot of people got into real estate, their brokerage or their broker was the only information source they had. And until the older generation of real estate agents retires, the mindset is still, because when I used to go to my office, I'd be the first one in. I started buying Zillow leads. The ridicule I would get at the copier was insane. Like I just stopped going to the copier, and people would just the receptionist up front, she'd be like, Vic, you got 6 things on the copier. Can you pick them up? I'm like, oh, I'm really busy. Can you bring them to me? Because every time I would walk by the office of the old dog, it was, oh, here comes the Zillow dude. Oh, here's the dumb Zillow. And I get tired of it. I'm like, dude, we just put up 6 deals this week. When does it go away? And I think that the mindset of offices is bad for a lot of these older agent offices. And I think the brokerages haven't yet fully adopted bringing you guys, because it should be the job of the broker to educate the brokers in the office about what's going on in the world with people like you. And so if the head of the snake isn't looking, then the body of the snake just keeps slithering by without even paying attention.
Yeah. Wrapping up here, because I know that's we have another podcast here. Micahel, I just want to say thank you more than anything for taking time to explain what you guys do and how much value you're providing. Like when I met you guys at the Next Home event, I was like, oh, these guys have to be on the podcast because you guys are like doing such a massive service to a seller, and you're doing such a massive service to a agent. So if somebody were to want to reach out to you, say for example, they're an agent, they're a broker, they're a team lead, and they're like, I want to learn a little bit more about what Revive can do for my business, how they can help me, how they can help my sellers. Where is the best place that we can send them in order to have a conversation with you?
I think the best place is to start on our website, revive.realestate. It's really easy to navigate, get started. You can, as an agent, you can go to the agent services, broker services. So revive.realestate. We also have a mobile app, Revive Real Estate. Obviously we had a very short amount of time. So yeah, anybody who's interested, I encourage to go on there, learn a little bit more and reach out.
Michael, thank you, Bob, my heart, for hopping on the podcast with us today. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the RE Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.